Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars burn. 3 human colonies were under attack, and the aliens were winning. His hands shook as he read the message from Earth Command one more time. All human forces must pull back now. This is a direct order from the Galactic Federation. Jake looked at the screen showing New Austin Colony below. 50,000 people lived there. Men, women, children who had built homes on this world. The Federation wanted him to leave them all behind. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked Lieutenant Ben Harper, his second in command. Jake did not answer right away. He had served the Federation for 20 years. He had followed every order, fought in every war they asked him to fight. But this was different. This was asking him to abandon his own people. The communication screen lit up. Admiral Lisa Kane appeared, her face tired and angry. She was speaking from the command ship 3 systems away. "Morrison, I know what you are thinking," she said. "I am thinking the same thing. The Federation has ordered us to retreat. They say the colonies cannot be saved. What about the people?" Jake asked. "They say the people are acceptable losses," Lisa replied. Her voice was cold with rage. "They have written off every human on those worlds." Jake felt something break inside him. For 200 years, humans had served the Federation. They had been the workers, the soldiers, the ones who died first in every battle. And now, when humans needed help, the Federation turned its back. "Admiral, I request permission to ignore the retreat order," Jake said. Lisa was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, harder. "Permission granted, Captain. Save who you can." The communication ended. Jake turned to his crew. They had heard everything. He could see the same anger in their eyes that he felt in his heart. "Ben, signal all human ships. We are not leaving without our people." "Sir, that is against direct orders from the Federation." Ben said. "The Federation just abandoned 50,000 humans to die," Jake replied. "I do not take orders from people who would do that." The next 6 hours were the longest of Jake's life. Human ships fought desperately against the alien attackers. The Zephyrians had better weapons, better shields, better everything. But the humans had something the aliens did not understand. They had nothing left to lose. Dr. Susan Miller worked in the science lab as the ship shook from enemy fire. She was trying to understand the alien weapons. What she found made her sick. "Captain Morrison, you need to see this," she called over. The communication system. Jake ran to the science lab. Susan showed him data on her computer screen. "The Zephyrian weapons are using Federation technology," she said. "Look at these energy patterns. They match Federation shield designs perfectly." "What does that mean?" Jake asked. "It means the Federation gave the Zephyrians our shield frequencies," Susan said. "They wanted the aliens to win. They wanted us to lose." Jake stared at the screen. The betrayal was complete. The Federation had not just abandoned humans. They had helped their enemies kill them. His communication device buzzed. It was Ryan Blake, the head of Human Intelligence Services. "Jake, I am sending you coordinates," Ryan said. "Emergency evacuation point. Can you get people there?" "How many people?" Jake asked. "As many as you can save. I have transport ships waiting." Jake did not ask where the ships came from. He did not ask how Ryan had prepared for this. He was just grateful someone had planned ahead. The evacuation was chaos. Human ships landed on New Austin Colony under heavy fire. People ran for their lives, carrying whatever they could. Children cried. Adults screamed. But they moved fast. Jake's ship took direct hits as they lifted off with the last group of survivors. The engines were damaged. The hull was cracked, but they were flying. "Sir, Federation ships are approaching," Ben reported. "Are they coming?" "To help?" someone asked. Jake looked at the identification signals. These were Federation security ships, not rescue ships. "No," he said. "They are coming to arrest us." Admiral Kane's voice came over the radio. She was talking to all human ships at once. "This is Admiral Kane to all human forces. The Federation has declared us traitors. They are ordering our arrest for disobeying the retreat command." Jake felt the last of his loyalty to the Federation die. "What are your orders, Admiral?" he asked. "We run," Lisa said. "We save our people, and we run." The human fleet jumped to hyperspace just as Federation security ships arrived. They left behind 3 burning colonies and 200 years of service to an organization that had betrayed them. At the evacuation point, Ryan Blake waited with a small fleet of unmarked ships. He had been planning for this day for years. He had supplies, weapons, and most importantly, he had a plan. "Where do we go now?" Jake asked when they met in person. Ryan smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had been expecting the worst and had prepared for it. "We disappear," Ryan said. "The Federation thinks we are broken. They think we will scatter and die in the darkness between stars. They are wrong." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "I mean, we have been preparing for this day for decades," Ryan said. "We have hidden bases. We have resources. We have people in places the Federation does not know about." "You planned for the Federation to betray us?" Susan asked. "I planned for the possibility," Ryan said. "And now that it has happened, we can do something the Federation never expected." "What is that?" Jake asked. "We can become something they will regret creating," Ryan said. "They wanted us gone. They will get their wish. But when we come back, we will not be the same humans who served them. We will be something new, something stronger." The rescued humans listened as Ryan explained his plan. They would hide in the empty spaces between stars. They would build in secret. They would grow strong while the Federation forgot they existed. "How long will this take?" Lisa asked. "As long as it takes," Ryan said. "Maybe 20 years, maybe 50. But one day we will return. And when we do, the Federation will learn what happens when you abandon your most loyal servants." Jake looked at the stars around them. Somewhere out there was Earth, now cut off from the rest of human space. Somewhere out there was the Federation, celebrating the removal of the human problem. They had no idea what they had started. They thought they were getting rid of a weak species that served them. Instead, they had created an enemy that would have nothing left to lose and everything to gain. The human ships disappeared into the darkness, carrying 50,000 survivors and the seeds of something the galaxy had never seen before. The Federation had won the battle, but they had no idea they had just lost a war that had not even started yet. In the cargo holds of the evacuation ships, human children slept beside their parents. They would grow up in hiding, raised on stories of betrayal and abandonment. They would become the first generation of humans who owed the Federation nothing, and they would be very, very dangerous. 25 years had passed since the Great Abandonment. The galaxy had moved on. The Federation told everyone that humans were extinct, wiped out by the Zephyrian War. Most aliens believed this story because it was easier than thinking about what they had done. They were wrong. Director Ryan Blake stood in the command center of Shadow Base 1, hidden deep inside an asteroid field that did not appear on any star chart. Around him, dozens of humans worked at computer stations, monitoring communication signals from across the galaxy. "Report," Ryan said to his aide, Lieutenant Kelly Foster. "Operation Ghost Ship was successful," Kelly said. "Commander Pete Johnson hit 3 Federation supply depots in the Outer Rim. The aliens think it was pirates." Ryan nodded. Pete was one of his best field commanders. He had learned to strike fast and disappear before anyone knew what happened. The Federation security forces were always one step behind him. "What about our people inside Federation space?" Ryan asked. "Agent Danny Park is now working directly for the Federation Council," Kelly said. "He has access to classified military reports. Agent Lisa Stone has been promoted to head of trade negotiations for the Thraxian Empire." Ryan smiled. His agents were everywhere now. They looked like aliens, talked like aliens, and acted like aliens. But they were human, and they remembered what the Federation had done. 25 years ago, Ryan had started with 50,000 refugees and a dream of revenge. Now he controlled a network that spanned half the galaxy. The Federation had no idea that their former servants had become their secret masters. Dr. Susan Miller entered the command center. She was older now, her hair gray, but her mind was sharper than ever. She carried a data pad with her latest research results. "Ryan, you need to see this," she said. "What did you find?" Ryan asked. "I have been studying Federation technology for 25 years, Susan said. "I finally understand how their quantum drives work. But more than that, I have found a way to make them better." She showed him the data pad. The numbers meant nothing to Ryan, but he could see the excitement in Susan's eyes. "We can build ships that exist partially outside normal space," she said. "They can travel anywhere, attack anything, and disappear without being detected. Ghost ships that are truly invisible." "How long to build a prototype?" Ryan asked. 6 months, Susan said. "But I need more resources." "You will have whatever you need," Ryan said. In another part of the base, General Jake Morrison was training the next generation of human soldiers. These young men and women had been born in exile. They had never seen Earth, never served the Federation, never felt loyalty to anyone except their own people. "Remember," Jake told a group of new recruits, "we are not just soldiers. We are shadows. We strike where the enemy does not expect us. We take what we need. We leave no trace behind." Among the recruits was Amy Davis, a young woman who had shown exceptional skill in combat training. She was fast, smart, and completely ruthless when necessary. "Sir, what if we encounter Federation forces?" Amy asked. "You disappear," Jake said. "We are not ready for open war yet. That day will come, but not today. Today, we stay in the shadows." The training continued. These humans were different from the ones who had served the Federation. They were harder, colder, more focused. They had been shaped by 25 years of hiding and planning for revenge. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, human agents worked to destroy the Federation from within. They caused supply problems, started fights between alien species, and slowly weakened the organization that had betrayed them. Agent Kelly Foster had infiltrated the Thraxian trade network. She looked like a Thraxian, complete with blue skin and 4 arms, thanks to advanced surgery and genetic modification. But inside, she was still human. "The Federation transport convoy will pass through the Kepler system in 3 days, she reported. To her handler. 40 ships carrying military supplies to the war zone. Understood, came the reply. Ghost Squadron will intercept. 3 days later, Commander Pete Johnson led 5 human ships in an attack on the convoy. His ships appeared from nowhere, struck with precise coordination, and vanished before the Federation escorts could respond. The aliens found 40 transport ships drifting in space, their crews unconscious, their cargo holds empty. It looked like the work of highly organized pirates. The Federation never suspected that their former servants had taken everything. This pattern repeated across the galaxy. Federation supply lines were constantly disrupted. Communication networks failed at critical moments. Important officials disappeared or were found dead under mysterious circumstances. The aliens blamed pirates, rebels, and criminal organizations. They never considered that a supposedly extinct species might be responsible. Dr. Nathan Cooper worked in another section of Shadow Base 1. He was Ryan's chief strategist, the man who planned every operation and predicted every Federation response. The Valorians are ready to rebel against Federation rule, Nathan reported. Agent Rachel Stone has been training their resistance fighters for 2 years. Are they strong enough to win? Ryan asked. With our support, yes, Nathan said. But they will not know we are helping them. As far as they know, they are fighting alone. Perfect, Ryan said. When they win, they will owe us nothing. But they will be grateful to whoever secretly supplied their weapons and training. The Valorian Rebellion began 6 months later. Federation forces found themselves fighting an enemy that used human tactics, carried human-designed weapons, and had been trained by human instructors. But the Federation never made the connection. Within a year, the Valorians had driven the Federation off their world. They established an independent government that, unknown to them, was secretly allied with humanity. This was Ryan's true genius. He was not just destroying the Federation. He was replacing it with something better. Every successful rebellion created a new ally. Every collapsed trade route was replaced by a human-controlled network. The Federation was dying, and it did not even know it was sick. Admiral Lisa Kane, now Supreme Commander of all human military forces, visited Shadow Base 1 to meet with Ryan. She was impressed by what she saw. 50,000 refugees have become millions of hidden allies, she said. How did you do it? By remembering that the Federation's greatest strength is also its greatest weakness, Ryan said. They control hundreds of different species, but they do not trust any of them. Every species has grievances against the Federation. We just help them act on those grievances. And when they act, we benefit, Lisa said. Exactly, Ryan said. We do not need to conquer the galaxy. We just need to convince it to conquer itself. In the depths of space, human children who had never seen sunlight practiced combat maneuvers on ships that officially did not exist. They learned languages of alien species they would one day infiltrate. They studied the weaknesses of an enemy that thought they were extinct. Agent Danny Park sent another report from his position in the Federation Council. He had spent 15 years working his way up through the alien bureaucracy. Now he had access to the Federation's most classified secrets. The defense grid codes for Nexus Prime have been updated, he reported. I have the new frequencies. Nexus Prime was the Federation capital, the most heavily defended world in the galaxy. With those codes, human forces could penetrate the planets. Defenses whenever they chose. But that day had not yet come. Ryan was patient. He had waited 25 years already. He could wait longer. The Federation celebrated another year of peace and prosperity. They had forgotten about the human problem because they believed it no longer existed. Crime was up, supply problems were increasing, and some outer colonies were becoming rebellious. But these were normal problems that all large governments faced. They had no idea that every problem could be traced back to the species they had abandoned. The humans they thought were extinct were now the secret puppet masters of galactic politics. And they were just getting started. In his private office, Ryan Blake looked at a star chart showing the current state of the galaxy. Red dots marked Federation-controlled systems. Blue dots marked systems controlled by human allies. Green dots marked systems where human agents were in position to strike. There was more blue and green than red now. Soon, Ryan said to himself. Very soon. The invisible war was almost over. The real war was about to begin. Agent Rachel Stone looked exactly like a Valorian female. Her skin was the right shade of green. Her eyes had the correct golden color, and she spoke their language without any accent. But she was human, and she remembered the day the Federation abandoned her people. She stood before a crowd of Valorian workers in the underground meeting hall. These aliens had suffered under Federation rule for decades. They were ready to fight, but they needed leadership. The Federation takes your resources and gives you nothing in return, Rachel said. They station troops on your world, but do not protect you from raiders. They tax your businesses, but do not build schools for your children. The crowd murmured agreement. Everything she said was true. What can we do? Asked Zeph, a young Valorian who worked in the mining complex. The Federation has ships, weapons, armies. We have nothing. Rachel smiled. You have more than you think. And you have friends you do not know about. Over the next months, Rachel trained the Valorians in guerrilla warfare tactics. She taught them how to make explosives from mining equipment, how to sabotage Federation communication systems, and how to strike targets without being caught. Valorians thought she was just another rebel who had learned these skills through trial and error. They had no idea she was a graduate of the best military academy humanity had ever built, trained by soldiers who had fought in dozens of wars. Meanwhile, mysterious weapon shipments began appearing in hidden locations around the Valorian cities. The rebels found high-quality rifles, ammunition, and communication equipment. When they asked Rachel where these supplies came from, she just smiled and said their cause had secret supporters. The weapons were human-made, manufactured in hidden factories scattered across the galaxy. But they were designed to look like products from various alien manufacturers. The Federation would never be able to trace them back to their true source. Colonel Amy Davis commanded the Deep Strike Division from Shadow Base 7, hidden in the atmosphere of a gas giant. Her soldiers were the best humanity had ever produced, trained to infiltrate any facility and eliminate any target. Today's mission is simple, Amy told her team as they prepared for deployment. The Federation Research Station on Gamma 7 has been developing new weapons. We need those weapons, and we need the research data. What about the station personnel? Asked Captain Mike Turner. Unconscious, not dead, Amy said. We are ghosts, remember. Nobody should even know we were there. The team used phase shift technology to approach the station. Their ship existed partially outside normal space, invisible to all sensors. They landed in the station's cargo bay without triggering any alarms. The infiltration took 4 hours. Amy's team moved through the station like shadows, avoiding security cameras and guards. They copied research data, stole prototype weapons, and planted small devices that would cause equipment failures in the coming weeks. When they left, the only sign of their presence was a single missing data crystal. The station commander would assume it was misplaced by a careless scientist. Back at the command center, Director Ryan Blake reviewed reports from agents across the galaxy. The network he had built was now larger than most governments. Humans controlled trade routes, communication hubs, and military supply chains without anyone knowing it. Dr. Nathan Cooper entered with his latest strategic analysis. The Thraxian Empire is considering war with the Federation, Nathan reported. They believe the Federation has been sabotaging their trade convoys. Have we been sabotaging their trade convoys? Ryan asked. Of course, Nathan said. But we made it look like Federation work. Both sides now distrust each other completely. This was the beauty of Ryan's strategy. He did not need to defeat the Federation directly. He just needed to convince the Federation's allies to defeat each other. What about the rebellion on Kepler 442b? Ryan asked. Proceeding perfectly, Nathan said. The Valorians will achieve independence within 6 months. When they do, they will establish a government, based on the principles our agents have been teaching them. Which means, Ryan asked, which means they will be a human ally in everything but name, Nathan said. They will trade with us, share intelligence with us, and support us in any future conflict. But they will think they are making these decisions independently. General Jake Morrison visited the training facilities on Shadow Base 12. These were the newest recruits, many of them second-generation humans born in exile. They had never known the Federation as anything but an enemy. "Sir, when do we get to fight openly?" asked Lieutenant Sarah Blake, Ryan's niece. She was 25 years old and had never seen Earth, but she burned with the desire to strike back at the aliens who had destroyed her people's lives. "Soon," Jake said. "We have spent 30 years preparing for this war. We will not rush into it now and waste everything we have built. But we are strong enough now," Sarah said. "We have ships, weapons, allies. Why do we keep hiding?" Jake understood her frustration. The young humans wanted action. They wanted to make the Federation pay for what it had done. But they did not understand the bigger picture. "We are fighting a war the enemy does not know exists," Jake explained. "Every day we remain hidden. We grow stronger and they grow weaker. When we finally reveal ourselves, the war will already be over." In the Federation Council chambers on Nexus Prime, Agent Danny Park sat quietly in the back row, taking notes. He looked like a mid-level Centaurian bureaucrat, complete with gray skin and oversized eyes. Nobody paid attention to him. The Council was discussing the increasing rebellion problem in the Outer Rim territories. 12 systems had declared independence in the past 5 years. Trade routes were constantly disrupted. Military forces were stretched thin, trying to maintain order. "Perhaps we should consider negotiating with some of these rebel groups," suggested Counselor Vex, a 4-armed Altarian. "Negotiation shows weakness," replied Counselor Threx, a reptilian Saurian. "We must crush these rebellions before they spread." Danny made careful notes of everything they said. This information would be transmitted to human intelligence within hours. Ryan Blake would know the Federation's response to every crisis before most Federation officials did. After the meeting, Danny accessed the Council's secure computer system. His clearance level had taken him 15 years to achieve, but now he could read almost any classified document. The latest intelligence reports made interesting reading. The Federation still believed humans were extinct, but they were starting to notice patterns in the rebel activities. Someone was supplying weapons and training to rebel groups across the galaxy. Someone with extensive military knowledge and advanced technology. Danny smiled as he copied the files. The Federation was beginning to suspect that a major power was working against them. They just had no idea that the major power was the species they had abandoned to die. On Kepler 442b, the Valorian Rebellion reached its climax. Rachel Stone led a coordinated attack on Federation installations across the Toll planet. The rebels used human tactics, human weapons, and human intelligence, but they believed they were fighting alone. The battle for the capital city lasted 3 days. Federation forces found themselves outmaneuvered and outfought by an enemy that seemed to know their every move. In reality, human agents had been monitoring Federation communications and passing information to the rebels. When the Federation commander finally surrendered, he was confused by the rebels' capabilities. "Where did you get such advanced weapons?" he asked Rachel. "We made them ourselves," she lied smoothly. "The Valorian people are more resourceful than you thought." The Federation forces withdrew from Kepler 442b, leaving behind an independent world that was secretly controlled by human interests. The Valorians elected a government that, unknown to them, would follow policies designed by human strategists. This pattern repeated across the galaxy. Rebellions succeeded with mysterious help. New governments were established based on principles that somehow always benefited humanity's hidden agenda. Dr. Susan Miller presented her latest breakthrough to Ryan and his senior staff. The quantum phase technology had evolved beyond simple invisibility. Human ships could now exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, making them effectively impossible to detect or attack. "We can build a fleet that cannot be stopped by any known weapon," Susan explained. "Phase-shifted matter, passes through normal matter, like it is not there. The Federation could fire every weapon they have at us and hit nothing. How many ships can we build? Admiral Lisa Kane asked. With our current resources, 50 major warships and 200 smaller vessels, Susan said. Enough to take any target we choose. Except we will not need to take targets, Ryan said. We already control them. He activated a holographic display, showing the current state of the galaxy. The map was mostly green now, indicating systems under human influence. We control the trade routes, the communication networks, and the supply chains, Ryan explained. We have agents in every major government and military organization. We have allies who think they are acting independently, but are actually following our guidance. So why reveal ourselves at all? Asked Nathan Cooper. Because hiding forever was never the plan, Ryan said. The Federation needs to learn what happens when you abandon your most loyal servants. They need to understand the price of betrayal. And then, Lisa asked, and then we die. The galaxy was burning, and nobody understood why. In the span of 3 months, 50 star systems had erupted in rebellion against the Federation. Supply lines collapsed. Communication networks failed. Military bases found themselves surrounded by enemies that seemed to appear from nowhere. Federation Admiral Korth stood in the command center on Nexus Prime, staring at the tactical display. Red warning lights blinked across half the galaxy. His four-armed Altarian frame trembled with frustration. How is this possible? He demanded. 50 simultaneous rebellions do not happen by accident. Intelligence suggests coordination, replied his aide, a young Centaurian named Vex. Someone is supplying weapons and tactical support to all these rebel groups. But who? Korth asked. No single power has this kind of reach. If only he knew. 3 systems away, Admiral Lisa Kane stood. On the bridge of the Excelsior, humanity's mobile command ship. The massive vessel existed partially in phase space, invisible to all known sensors. Around her, the bridge crew worked at stations monitoring the chaos they had created. Status report, Lisa commanded. All rebel groups are performing within expected parameters, reported Commander Pete Johnson. The Valorians have secured their system. The Altarian colonies have declared independence. The Thraxian trade worlds are in open revolt. Casualties? Lisa asked. Minimal on our side, Pete said. The rebels are using our tactics and equipment. They are winning easily. Lisa nodded. 30 years of planning had led to this moment. Every rebellion had been secretly organized by human agents. Every weapon had been manufactured in hidden human factories. Every victory had been achieved using human strategy, but the Federation still did not know humans existed. Ma'am, we are receiving a transmission from Director Blake, reported Communications Officer Kelly Foster. Operation Resurrection is ready to begin. Lisa smiled. It was time to show the galaxy what humanity had become. On Shadow Base 1, Ryan, Blake stood before the assembled leaders of the human resistance. These men and women had spent their entire adult lives preparing for this day. Today, we step out of the shadows, Ryan said. Today, the galaxy learns that humanity is not extinct. Today, we show them what they created when they abandoned us. The room was silent. Everyone understood the magnitude of what they were about to do. Remember, Ryan continued, we are not just revealing ourselves. We are revealing an empire. Every successful rebellion, every collapsed trade route, every mysterious attack over the past 30 years has been our work. We are not emerging from hiding. We are revealing that we already won. General Jake Morrison stepped forward. Sir, all forces are in position. Ghost fleets are ready to decloak in 12 key systems simultaneously. Dr. Miller, are the phase shift systems ready? Ryan asked. All ships are equipped with quantum phase technology, Susan Miller replied. We can strike anywhere and disappear before the enemy can respond. Agent Park, what is the Federation's military readiness? Ryan asked. Danny Park, still deep undercover, in the Federation Council, had transmitted his latest intelligence just hours before. They have 40% of their fleet tied up fighting rebellions, Jake reported based on Danny's information. The remaining 60% is scattered across the galaxy, trying to maintain order. They cannot mount a coordinated defense. Perfect, Ryan said. Begin Operation Resurrection. Across the galaxy, human ships began to phase back into normal space. They appeared in perfect formation around 12 strategically important systems. The Federation forces stationed there found themselves surrounded by vessels of unknown design and incredible technological capability. At the Centauri supply depot, Colonel Amy Davis led the assault. Her phase-shifted ships appeared directly inside the station's defensive perimeter, bypassing shields and weapons entirely. Federation vessels, this is Colonel Amy Davis of the Human Colonial Defense Force. She broadcast on all frequencies. You are surrounded. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. The Federation commander, a blue-skinned Thraxian named Kess, stared at his tactical display in confusion. Human Colonial Defense Force? He asked his aide. Humans have been extinct for 30 years. Sir, these ships are using technology we have never seen before, the aide replied. They appeared inside our defenses without triggering any alarms. Impossible, Kess said. Amy's voice came over the communication system again. You have 60 seconds to respond. We are not interested in unnecessary bloodshed, but we will defend ourselves if attacked. Kess looked at his weapons officer. Can we target them? No. Sir, the weapons officer replied. Our targeting systems cannot lock onto their ships. It is like they are not completely there. Faced with an enemy he could not fight, Kess made the only logical choice. He surrendered. This scene repeated across 12 systems. Federation forces found themselves outmaneuvered by an enemy they thought was extinct, using technology they did not understand. But the real shock came when the human broadcasts began. President Angela White sat in the command center of the Excelsior, preparing to address the galaxy. She was the elected leader of the human colonial government, though most of the galaxy did not know that government existed. People of the galaxy, she began, her image being transmitted to every communication network simultaneously. I am President Angela White of the human colonial government. 30 years ago, the Galactic Federation abandoned humanity to die in the Zephyrian War. They declared us extinct and erased us from their records. The transmission was being received on every Federation world, every rebel-controlled system, and every independent colony. Billions of beings watched in amazement as the supposedly extinct humans revealed themselves. But we did not die, Angela continued. We survived. We grew strong. We built an empire in the shadows while the Federation celebrated our supposed extinction. On Nexus Prime, Admiral Korth watched the transmission with growing horror. Every rebellion you have faced in the past 30 years was organized by us, Angela said. Every supply problem, every communication failure, every mysterious attack has been our work. We have been at war with you for 3 decades. You just did not know it. The implications hit Korth like a physical blow. The humans had been behind everything. The chaos consuming the galaxy was not random. It was a carefully planned campaign of revenge. We offer you the same choice you once offered us, Angela said. Join us willingly or be conquered. But understand this, the galaxy has already chosen. Half of your former territories now serve us. Your allies have become our allies. Your trade routes are our trade routes. The transmission ended with a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Green areas marked human-controlled territory. Red areas marked Federation holdouts. There was far more green than red dot in the Federation Council chambers. Panic erupted. Council members shouted accusations at each other. Some demanded immediate war. Others called for negotiation. Agent Danny Park sat quietly in the back, taking notes. Everything the Council said would be transmitted to human intelligence within the hour. How did we not know about this? Demanded Councillor Vex. Our intelligence services failed completely, replied Councillor Threx. Somehow, an entire species rebuilt itself under our noses. It is worse than that, said Councillor Nix, reviewing the intelligence reports. According to this data, they have been manipulating galactic politics for decades. Every major event in the past 30 years can be traced back to human involvement. Danny smiled to himself. If only they knew that one of their own council members was human. The Federation's response was swift and predictable. They declared total war on humanity and ordered all remaining loyal forces to attack human targets immediately. It was exactly what Ryan Blake had expected. They are taking the bait, he reported to his senior staff. Federation fleets are moving to attack our revealed positions. Are we ready? Asked Lisa Kane. We have been ready for 30 years, Ryan replied. The Federation attack came in the form of massive fleet movements toward the 12 systems where humans had revealed themselves. It was the largest military operation in Federation history. It was also exactly what the humans wanted as Federation fleets moved toward their targets. They left their home systems lightly defended. Human phase shift fleets immediately struck these undefended worlds, capturing key installations without resistance. Meanwhile, the Federation forces arriving at the 12 target systems found that the human ships had vanished. The phase shift technology allowed the entire human fleet to disappear into quantum space whenever they faced superior numbers. Where did they go? Admiral Korth demanded as his fleet arrived at the Centauri system to find it empty. Unknown. Sir, his aide replied, they were here an hour ago. Now there is no trace of them. What Korth did not know was that the human fleet had simply shifted to a different dimensional phase. They were still there, watching him, but existing in a state where his weapons could not touch them. The Federation had fallen into the trap perfectly. While their fleets chased ghosts in empty space, human forces captured 60% of their remaining territory in a single day. On the bridge of the Excelsior, Admiral Lisa Kane received reports from across the galaxy. Nexus 7 system secured, reported Commander Pete Johnson. Federation garrison surrendered without a fight. Altair Prime is under our control, added Colonel Amy Davy. The war did not end with massive battles or dramatic surrenders. It ended with the simple realization that the Federation had already lost before they knew they were fighting. Director Ryan Blake stood in the main conference room of the moon, Excelsior, surrounded by the leaders who had spent 30 years building an empire in secret. Through the massive windows, he could see the lights of Nexus Prime below. The Federation capital was now under human control. Status report, Ryan said to his assembled staff. 87% of former Federation territory has declared for the human colonial government, reported General Jake Morrison. The remaining 13% consists mainly of remote colonies that have not yet received our messages. What about resistance movements? Asked President Angela White. Minimal, replied Colonel Amy Davis. Most Federation military units are surrendering. Without a fight, the few that resist are being dealt with by local forces. Ryan nodded. This was exactly what he had expected. The Federation had been hollow for years, held together only by habit and fear. When humanity revealed the true extent of their influence, the entire structure collapsed like a house built on sand. What about our people inside Federation institutions? Ryan asked Agent Kelly Foster, who had spent decades infiltrating alien governments, smiled as she delivered her report. Complete. Success, she said. We have identified over 5,000 human agents embedded in Federation organizations. They are all revealing themselves and taking control of their respective institutions. 5,000? President White asked in amazement. How did we place so many people without being detected? Patience, Ryan replied. We started small. One agent would recruit a local contact. That contact would recruit someone else. Over 30 years, we built networks that the Federation never imagined existed. Dr. Susan Miller entered the conference room carrying a datapad with the latest intelligence reports. The Federation Council has officially dissolved itself, she announced. The remaining members have asked for asylum in various neutral systems. Asylum from what? Asked Admiral Lisa Kane. From the war crimes tribunals we are establishing, Susan said. They know they will be held accountable for abandoning humanity. This was another part of Ryan's plan. Justice had to be seen to be done. The galaxy needed to understand that betraying one's allies carried a price. On the planet below, Agent Danny Park was conducting his final mission as an intelligence operative. He stood in the Federation archives, the massive building that housed the official records of galactic civilization for 30 years. Those records had listed humanity as extinct. Today, Danny was changing that. Computer, access historical records. Section Human Civilization, Danny commanded. Access denied, the computer replied. Human civilization records were sealed following species. Extinction confirmation in 2387. Override authorization. Director Daniel Park. Human colonial intelligence, Danny said. Authorization confirmed. Welcome back, Director Park. Danny smiled as the archives opened before him. With a few keystrokes, he restored humanity's place in galactic history. More importantly, he added detailed records of the past 30 years, documenting every Federation crime and every human achievement. Future historians would know exactly what had happened and why. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the transformation was accelerating. On worlds that had been under Federation rule for centuries, new governments were forming based on principles of justice and equality that the Federation had forgotten. The Valorians on Kepler 442b discovered that their mysterious benefactor had been humanity all along. Agent Rachel Stone finally revealed her true identity to the rebel leaders she had trained. You are human? Asked Zeph, the young Valorian who had become their war leader. But you look exactly like us. Surgery and genetic modification, Rachel explained. We learned to become whatever we needed to be to survive. Why did you help us? Zeph asked. Because you were fighting for the same thing we were, Rachel said. Freedom from an oppressive government that cared nothing for the people it ruled. The Valorians were shocked to learn that their liberation had been part of a larger plan, but they were not angry. The humans had helped them achieve something they could never have accomplished alone. Similar revelations were happening on dozens of worlds. Species that thought they had won independence through their own efforts discovered they had been secretly supported by humanity. But instead of feeling manipulated, most were grateful. The Federation had been a harsh master. Human rule promised to be much better. In the medical bay of the Excelsior, Dr. Susan Miller was treating the last Federation prisoners of war. These were the soldiers and officers who had fought to the end, believing they were defending civilization against an alien threat. Doctor, asked a wounded Thraxian officer, why are you helping us? We tried to kill you. Because that is what humans do, Susan replied as she bandaged his wounds. We help those who need help, even if they were our enemies. The Thraxian was confused. This was not how the Federation had taught him humans behaved. According to Federation propaganda, humans were violent and unpredictable. I do not understand, he said. Your people have conquered the galaxy. Why show mercy to those who opposed? You? Because conquest was never the goal, Susan explained. Justice was the goal. You were following orders from leaders who had betrayed their most loyal allies. That does not make you evil. It makes you misled. This conversation was repeated throughout human-controlled space. The humans who had spent 30 years planning revenge were now showing mercy to their defeated enemies. It was not what anyone had expected. President Angela White prepared for her final address to the galaxy. This would not be a declaration of war or terms of surrender. This would be the founding document of a new galactic civilization. People of the galaxy, she began, speaking from the former Federation Council chambers. Today marks the beginning of a new era. The human colonial government hereby establishes the Galactic Alliance, a confederation of free worlds based on principles of justice, equality, and mutual respect. Her words were being broadcast to every inhabited world in the galaxy. Unlike the Federation, which ruled through fear and exploitation, the Alliance will govern through cooperation and consent. Every member world will have a voice in our decisions. Every citizen will have rights that cannot be taken away. She paused, looking directly into the camera. We invite all worlds to join us in building this new civilization. Those who wish to remain independent may do so, as long as they respect the rights of others. Those who wish to return to the old ways of oppression and exploitation will find no place in our galaxy. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, hundreds of worlds were requesting membership in the new alliance. The promise of fair treatment and self-governance was exactly what most of them had been hoping for, but not everyone was ready to accept the new order. A group of die-hard Federation loyalists, led by the former Admiral Korth, attempted one final act of resistance. They seized control of a remote military base and threatened to use its weapons against civilian populations unless humanity surrendered. The threat was dealt with by Colonel Amy Davis and her Deep Strike Division. Using phase shift technology, they infiltrated the base without being detected and disabled all weapon systems before the Loyalists could act. "It is over," Amy told Korth as her soldiers placed him under arrest. "The Federation is dead. Accept that and move on with your life." Korth looked around at his captured followers. They were the last remnant of an empire that had ruled the galaxy for centuries. Now they were prisoners of the species they had abandoned to die. "How did you do it?" Korth asked. "How did you rebuild from nothing to this?" "We never rebuilt," Amy replied. "We just revealed what we had already built. You thought you had destroyed us, but you had only freed us to become something better." With the capture of the last resistance cell, the transformation was complete. The Galactic Federation was officially dead, replaced by the Galactic Alliance under human leadership. Ryan Blake stood once again in his old command center on Shadow Base 1, but now it was no longer hidden. The base had been revealed as the headquarters of the intelligence service that had orchestrated the greatest strategic victory in galactic history. 30 years, he said to himself. 30 years of patience, planning, and preparation. Admiral Lisa Kane joined him at the observation deck. "Any regrets?" she asked. "Only one," Ryan replied. "I regret that it took the Federation's betrayal to unite humanity. If they had treated us fairly, we might still be serving them faithfully." "Do you think that would have been better?" Lisa asked. Ryan considered the question. Below them, human ships patrolled space lanes that were now free from piracy and oppression. Former Federation worlds were experiencing prosperity and justice they had not known for generations. "No," he said finally. The Federation's betrayal revealed their true nature. A government that would abandon 50,000 people to die was never worthy of loyalty. We are better off without them. "And the galaxy is better off with us in charge," Lisa added. Ryan nodded. Humanity had learned from the Federation's mistakes. The new alliance would be based on cooperation, not domination. Justice, not exploitation. Hope, not fear. Dr. Nathan Cooper entered the command center with the final intelligence report.
"Ugh,